Well, here is what we're working on. We've been working on this for quite a while now. However, I have lost all of the footage that I had on this SD card. That means I lost what we did the last thing here the other night on the 9320 and what we did to it over the weekend. We'll get into talking about that here in a second. This spreader here, we had a little incident with it and the tailgate got screwed up on it. You guys are missing the footage on it because what I filmed here earlier is gone. The other day, they were cleaning manure out from underneath the barn, the sand, and the tailgate ended up going down. They put the tailgate down in front of the ram, and they ended up bending the tailgate up. They bent that tailgate up to the point where the flat part of the gate was right level with the top of the spreader. It ended up bending the cylinder tabs. We heated them up, straightened them down, got the tailgate squared up. We ended up straightening it with the towel handler. It bent right there, all the way across. All four of those pieces bent. We straightened them. I heated them up. I bent the form channels back, and I've got some paint on it. I ended up pulling the rubber off of the tailgate, and we've got that back in place. The white poly stuff was all warped. We ended up putting a heavy pallet on top of that, and we heated it up with a kerosene heater. We got that to straighten out. Now we've just got to put the flaps back on there. There's a metal panel that goes across there with some rubber flaps that hang down. It ended up bending the front of the ram, the top of the ram. We've got that straight. It broke the bolts out of it. We've got those replaced. Now, these bolts here, and no, Andrew did not do this to the spreader. It was somebody else, doesn't matter who, but at this point, it's water under the bridge. The guy that did it did come to me. He told me exactly what happened. He said he just was not paying attention and accidentally put the tailgate down before he brought the ram back. So it's fixed now, somewhat. We did price a new gate. The new gate was $5,947. So for the most part, we've got this back together in pretty good shape. Now, another project that we have going on, Jared pulled this in Saturday afternoon. Again, I have lost the footage. This is an 8110. It's got 15,557 hours on it. It was starting to knock a little bit. We quit using it. He brought it in the shop here. We assumed it was a fuel knock, but it did have quite a bit of, like copper / brass looking type material in the oil. He cut the oil filter apart, and we figured it had bearing material in the oil. He pulled the engine, got that out by about 5 o'clock Saturday night, and pulled the head off of it Sunday. And the injectors looked like they were there was maybe something wrong with them. But once he got dissecting it a little farther, it ended up spinning a bearing on number 4. The block, the crank, and the head is ready to go to the machine shop now. That's loaded in the back of the truck, and that is ready to go to the machine shop. So that's the story on that. We're missing that footage from when that came in and when the engine come out of it. Now, Some other footage that we're missing is the 9320 going together here. Me and Nate put the front axle in this, as you've seen in the last video. We put that up in there Friday night. The last bit of the footage from that, from when we've actually put the bolts in, from that footage on is what I'm missing. Andrew helped me put the blade frames on. We've got those on there Saturday, and then we put the wheels on it. And then Andrew helped me get the rear end out of it. We took the final drives off of that, and I sent the final drives to Kaz yesterday, and we'll show you what the material or the parts look like that come out of the rear end. The brakes aren't that bad, but they are down to the point where you'd want to replace them. So that's where we stand there. We're gonna get this done. Kaz has the final drives done. Tim's gonna go out and get them now, and we'll try to keep ahead of this now. I believe that the SD card that I was using was just, it had enough age on it to where I should have replaced it a while ago. I did have a problem with this camera last week there when I lost. There was like 6 or 8 clips that lacked some audio. So we've got to keep this in mind right here. So, but let's get this job done, get it out of here, and maybe Timothy will be back here in a while with some final drives. We can get that back together. All right, so we've got this thing all done. We've got our flaps on the inside. Everything's all bolted back down, and judging by the looks of this gate, you would never know that it had what happened to it. So Junior's up in the tractor, gonna raise the tailgate up. See, and the idea of these flaps here, they're on there so that if a stone or something gets kicked off of these beaters, it'll hit these flaps. It'll kind of work like a mud flap. All right, he's pushing this ram back. We'll just kind of show you how this all happened here. All right, I do have a couple of pictures from the other night when this tailgate got monkeyed up. I'll put them in at the end of this next clip here. Is that ram all the way back? Yeah, there it goes. It's not all the way back yet. So that's all the way back. Then the tailgate got put down. I'm just curious as to how far it'll go down. So that's how far it would have went down, and then the ram would have come back and it just folded it up. Raise it up. Alright, go forward with the ram. The idea is to have your ram all the way forward before you even bring the tailgate down, because we think what might have also happened, we're thinking that this ram or this tailgate might have gone down before the tailgate or the ram was moved all the way forward a couple of times too, because of how this here was bent up. And we're thinking that that came down on top of all that. So, go down. want to see what this looks like if it goes down on top of the ram extension. Yeah, raise it back up. All right, get the ram forward. All right, we'll let him get that ram forward, and then we'll put the tailgate up and down a couple of times to show you how that works. Then we'll let him get on out of here. All right, the ram's just about all the way back home. And then now he's gonna put the tailgate down. And it closes up nice and tightly. Raise it up. It's really too bad we lost the footage of what we started working on here yesterday. But when this happened the other night, we did not have, I took a couple of pictures of it, but the pictures came out horrible. So we're gonna let him get on out of here. Backing through this gantry is a little tough. It's only 14 feet wide. Well, he's all excited to have his spreader back. Alright, so when this happened the other night, when I first looked at the gate, I said, this is not even repairable. It was dark. I said, we're not going to be able to monkey with this thing tonight. Jared had the idea, look, why don't we just try it? Let's try straightening it, he said. And I said, well, it can't hurt anything. So before we went to straighten it, I did take 2 pictures. It's kind of hard to make out in the picture what you're exactly looking at because of how dark it is. But the tailgate, what you're looking at is you're looking through the beaters here, and the tailgate, you can barely see it up in the air, bent up in the air. This tailgate is all the way down, by the way, and it is bent up to the point where you can barely see it in these couple of photos here. So I thought I would just throw these pictures in to show you what things looked like before we ended up straightening things out here. Tim ended up taking the engine parts over to a machine shop, which is near and in Cazenovia, and he ended up picking up the final drives, which Cazenovia ended up putting new bearings in. We're gonna get things cleaned up. We're gonna get one installed. Have to roll the differential over on its side and install the other one. The boys ended up pulling in this Payloader, which has got an AMI kickbox bucket on it, and they're flipping the cutting edges around. The cutting edges wore enough that they're just gonna turn it and get that rotated there. So this bucket's a little different because it's a well, it's a push out bucket. So the cutting edge bolts, they are countersunk because that platform moves forward, and then this floor ends up riding on the floor of the bucket, and it comes past here, so it has the nuts countersunk like that. So it's a 3-piece cutting edge. They'll get the bolts out of that. They'll just be able to turn them pieces around, and we'll get another few months out of that. So this has been a decent bucket. The first bucket, this is actually the second one The first bucket that we got from them, it wasn't sealed up tight enough. The bucket was actually warped. This panel was in on this side, and it was out on that side there, so I had a gap on the one side. Even though it has these rubber gaskets in here, it leaked, and they ended up making us a new one. Well, we have our surfaces all cleaned up, and we're ready to drop the piston itself in. I've got new O-rings in there. We're just going to set the piston in there, and then we're going to take that piece of angle iron that I made, and we're going to set a block of wood on each side and push the piston in with the piece of angle iron. We have a new piston. We're going to go ahead and set that in there. And we're going to take these little blocks of wood here. Set that there and there. Set our angle iron on top. And we just have to get a couple of 16mm bolts. I hope I grab the right length. Looks like they might be a little too long. We'll try it. Shorter. You don't want to bottom them out and have a problem there. Okay. Okay, so we put that in there now. We're going to set the brake disc in and the plate, and then we can put our ring gear in there. This one here with everything in it. Computer. No computer because he said he wouldn't be able to use it. Maybe put a piece of cardboard underneath so the gears don't smash the floor. Alright, grab onto that axle without hurting your hand and get that thing to center. Okay, now there's a line, I've got a line ground in the side of it, it's going to match that. Do you see where the line is? Where is the line? Is it going to be okay? Is it going to hit it? No. By like 90 degrees. 90 degrees? I mean, yeah. Maybe a little closer than that. Well, we might have to get the pallet jack. Like that. Just go out there with it. Get it so that it's like aimed like a plumb bob. It's gotta be straight, else it ain't gonna work. Well, no, I got new bolts. Got new bolts to go in there. That's the way to put these together. Hell of a lot better, or hell of a lot easier doing it this way than trying to do it horizontally, but we can only put one in like that. It'd be nice if you had a big hole in the floor, set it down in, put the other one on the same way. But we can't do the other tractors like that, so we have to fight them anyway. So we'll get new bolts in there, get that torqued, and then we'll set this down and do the other side. They've got the cutting edge all flipped, by the way, and they are greasing that loader. All right, we are into the next day now. We're going to set this down on its side. We've got this one side together. All of the bolts are torqued. I had to go to a basketball game last night, so I ended up leaving here about 5:30 or so. So we'll get that set down. We'll get the other final drive into it. Then we can roll this in underneath the tractor. Use the forklift and the gantry to get it up into place, get it bolted. And then we will be able to get our wheels on. So Jared's gonna give me a hand getting this in there. And we should be able to wrap this job up here. All right, we've got our surfaces cleaned up on the differential, the final drive, and on this outer part of the housing that the planetary itself rides in that. Now, if you didn't follow along in the last video when we put the front end back together, I ended up making a piece of angle iron, or I drilled a couple of holes in this piece of angle iron here. I used it on the other side there. You've seen me do that here when I put that other side together, but we're just going to use that to press it in. I forget what I've talked about and what I haven't talked about here. The brake discs that came out of the rear end wore about halfway is all. There's the old disc there, and then here is a new one. Now I know I've been getting a lot of comments about guys that have run all of their tractors that have never had to put a set of brakes in. Well, I get it. We've got a couple of tractors that we feed cows with that have got over 20,000 hours on them, and we have not touched the brakes on them. It's because the brakes they don't get used. You don't use them, you don't wear them out, you don't have to replace them. Other comments are about how could John Deere build something like this and have it involve this much work. I don't know how the brakes go into any of the other tractors, but I guarantee you that there is about as much work as we are doing right here. So we'll go ahead and press our piston into place, and then we can put our brake disc in and the actual outer plate, and then we can put the final drive into place. They're talking about one of them off-brand tractors, them internationals. You could put the brakes in them, you could just access them from the outside. That's what they're talking about. don't have any thinner metal anywhere. Well, we've got the other final drive on there. So we've got this differential is now complete, and we just have to put it into place now, and we're going to use the forklift to keep the center from dropping down. However, I'm on the pallet too far, so we're going to hang it from the gantry, and hopefully we can move the pallet back to the very end so that we can just kind of hold that center up, and then we can kind of just put this right into place here. right, we've got this final, or this, well, we've got this differential in there. I've got 3 bolts left to tighten up on the right side final drive. We'll torque them. And we've got 4 bolts to put in on each side. Once we get that all done, we can roll the gantry out of the way and we can start putting the inner tires on, then we can get it down off the jack, bring the PTO in and everything else. Well, we've got both rear wheels on. We just need to slide them into the position that they need to be in so that we can get the dual hubs on. We ended up replacing all of the hardware on the inner wheel hub itself, as you can see there. Now, I had a problem getting these bolts out, especially on this side here. We ended up breaking both of them. And they were a little bit of a bugger, so we've got new ones installed along with anti-seize. Nathan is hooking up the U-joint coming off of the drive shaft here that goes in through the center of the tractor there, and it hooks up on the front of the differential. This one's a little easier to hook up because we still have the rear end off the ground. I didn't hook up the front drive shaft because we had one side down and one side up, so we might have to jack up the front end in order to hook up that drive shaft so that we can spin the differential itself. That might be a little bit of a bugger. So let's get these wheels tightened up here and then we can finish the rest of this here. Well, we have come into a little bit of a snafu. We've got the other side tight. We're trying to get this side tight. And we've got one bolt that would not go into this lock ring, which is on the back side. Nathan is running a tap through the hole right now, and we couldn't go this way because our tap wasn't long enough. We couldn't run a bolt in from the other way because the last bit of threads, the bolt doesn't regularly come through. And we're just trying to clean them threads up now. If we can't get it going from the back side, we're gonna have to take the wheel back off, take the lock ring off, tap the hole, and put it all back together. Now, we should have ran a tap through all of those holes before we put it on, but we didn't. So, just to clean the threads up. I don't know, we didn't have any problem taking that off. You do see some heating here, but that's from heating up this 10mm Allen stud so that we could get it out because I broke it off. And I ended up going in through here with a torch. I cut the head off so that we could get the lock ring off, and then once I had it on the bench, I welded a nut on the stud that was left, heated the ring, and took the old bolt out. I don't know if I've got it on the bench here. Yeah, it's right here. So that's what that looks like with that coming out. So we'll have to see how Nate makes out getting that tap through there. She's turning a little hard, ain't she, bub? It's almost there. You're doing a good job. He's got like 3 threads left. All right, it looks as though he was able to punch through with that tap. We'll go ahead and try the bolt here now. Oh, damn it. All right, we drop bolt. We are in, bub. All right, so that went right into place. We're threaded nicely. And we'll wait for him to get his tap out. We've had these situations before, not this style, But the other style where you've got 3 bolts on one half and just 2 on the other, and it threads into the actual cast part of the wheel hub, this part, and it's not an actual well, it's replaceable, but you have to replace the whole hub, and we've stripped them out before, and we would just drill them and put a well, on that size one, it was a 20 millimeter, and we ran just a 3/4 inch bolt through it with a nut on the other side, which was a pain in the butt, but that's the way it goes sometimes. At least with this style, it's just the replaceable lock ring. You can see numbers that we wrote on here. These are already numbered, but the number is in the casting, and it's somewhat hard to see, so that's tight. You do have to go in sequential order here. So start back with 1 and go up to 10, going around the hub and the different spots here. So that was a successful repair maker. Well, for the most part, we've got everything back together except for the PTO assembly. We've got to put that on there. However, I have to leave now and have the procedure done to my left leg that I had done to my right leg a few weeks ago. I have to have a laser type surgery to remove varicose veins. So with that being said, that is gonna do it for this video. I want to thank you for watching, and we will catch you at the next video.